Chair calls Jeremy Newman. Mr. Newman, if you please state your name, who you represent, and if you're on for or against the bill.
Chairman, members, my name is Jeremy Newman, Policy Director with the Texas Homeschool Coalition. A number of the ideas in this bill came from our own personal experiences because one of the... In favor of the bill.
Thank you.
Because one of the services that THSC provides to our members is defense in CPS cases. And, I mean, you guys probably know from prior testimony that THSC lobbies on behalf of homeschooling issues and parental rights issues, and so the intersection of the state and the parent in these situations is kind of an obvious problem for parental rights in many situations. I want to point the attention of the committee to a couple specific issues as examples to that. One specific section is allowing the court to extend the show cause hearing deadline at the request of a non-indigent parent. So right now, if you are an indigent parent, then you can request to have that deadline extended for up to a week to give you time to prepare. If you are a non-indigent parent, you don't have that option. And so what happens in a lot of these situations is that the parent is served or given the information about what they're being accused of days or sometimes hours, or we've had situations where it happened in court when they got to the hearing. And so they have no time to prepare in some situations, especially if they've just retained the attorney. And so this simply says that the non-indigent parent as well as the indigent parent is allowed to ask for that extension. It also has some provisions which allow for the courts to consolidate cases in situations where you have multiple kids who are subject to jurisdiction in different courts, and you would otherwise end up in a situation where the one parent is defending themselves against the exact same accusations in multiple courts at the same time, depending on which kid you're talking about. And so it consolidates those into a single court. And I'll mention that, as Representative Burrows talked about, some of this language is floating around in other bills on the Senate side, and so there have been changes made to some of these things and have been agreed to by a lot of parties that address some concerns that have been brought up. So I don't know if anyone else after me might testify to some of those concerns, but a lot of things have been discussed that would solve that. And so I think the obvious goal would be to make those changes as the bill progresses. I also want to speak quickly to the language in the bill that says that you cannot terminate parental rights or remove the child based on the evidence that the parent homeschooled or they failed to vaccinate their child. We have had many cases where specifically the homeschooling issue was a problem. Just in the last 2 years, I could give you 4 specific examples. One where CPS accused the family of having no state-approved homeschooling curriculum. There is no such thing as a state-approved homeschooling curriculum. And so what happens in some of these situations is that once CPS gets to the home and discovers the family is a homeschooling family, that becomes an easy target for CPS. And the last point I would make related to the jurisdictional deadlines, I handed out testimony to you from a CPS judge from Houston who speaks to how the enforcement of those deadlines will affect the courts. And I think you'll find that it's very favorable.
Yes, thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.